Okay, folks, happy Sunday morning. Like, what is this stuff that's in front of me? Well, we got all the Soviets done last night and a few of the Germans with the Tufts. That's what we're doing. We're doing the Tufflandia stuff. And we've got these guys to tuft up. And then we're getting into the last batch of actually doing the goop on. Get your goop on. Okay, so let's do the master sergeant or the whatever the platoon sergeant guy here. And glue some of this stuff on. Glue some stuff on Stefan. I left some of this glue on this brush, but it's just need to reactivate it. There we go. Done. And what is there not? Paper towel around here. Let's go do a reach around the corner. All right. There we go. I literally, when I stop filming, I literally leave everything where it stays. That's it. Let's put one of these big old mean big old greenies. Of all the figures that I've done, I've never had a tuft come off. So I must be doing something right. Or I'm not abusing them when I'm putting them down. But sometimes, like this one, it's just too difficult to put down in this area. The base is kind of rounded. And sometimes the glue booger that's on the bottom of these doesn't flex like it should. This doesn't happen often, but it does happen. We're just going to place it on here and then move on. But I normally like to take the tweezers and push it into the goop. It stays soft for several days. To improve its purchase. Oh, it made a purchase? What did it buy? This one's just not. Here. Okay, one of these, it might have been this guy. I was like, I don't know that we're going to be able to put something there. Take one of these and let's cut this thing in half. See if we can get this in where it needs to go. Let's do that. Let's use a fresh one of these. That one's just going to have one. There's not enough space from between his legs for different things. The back of this guy's sign did not get painted brown. Let's go take care of that right now. Did not get repainted brown, I should say. It's painted green. This is a redo. All right. We got couple little rocks there. It's a problem that every one of these packages of Tufts has, that they're just, the packages are an unwieldy size. Doesn't matter whether it's Gamer's Grass or anything. The Gamer's Grass ones are thin, but they're slippery as shit. So you can't stack them on each other. They're always like falling down all over the. And these aren't slippery, but you know they're still pretty big. I think we can fit it in there. Well, we'll see what kind of a turnout we get. Normally, Sunday is the busiest time. This is the most popular session for whatever reason. It happens to be more than Saturday. And here's Metzler. Obergefreiter Metzler. All right. This guy's laying down on the job. Yeah, I think these are the ones from Huge Miniatures. Although the tufts are nice, I don't like the bottom of them is very hard. Which would work fine if it was on a even surface, but okay, we cut one of these little guys down, didn't we? Yep. All right, let's use this little bit back here. Mr. Ben, welcome. Welcome back. I can't remember if you were on last night, but we were talking about that island yesterday that the Japanese got attacked by alligators, and they made a movie out of it, or they made a movie that was inspired by those events, but they had to twist it around. I haven't watched it yet. It's probably going to be terrible. They changed it around. They made it allies that had to deal with the alligators on that island. I guess if the Japanese all got eaten, like nobody would care. I'd be like, yay! Hooray! Everybody likes sushi. When I signed off yesterday, I started looking into it. And it was one of the first things, like, there's a movie about it. It's from 2021. What? Called Saltwater. Yeah. Ramri Island, is that what it was? Let's not use one of those this time. Let's see what we have here. More of this. This is what they call swamp tuft. Missed last night's stream, but I remember talking about the sword in Africa. There's an idea to port into the scenario for Ramri. That's right, I've played that a couple times. We've had some crazy... We have one guy that always puts on games at our show about the sword in Africa. It's usually in the very first session on Friday morning. And I've always played the natives. Always. You don't get much of an opportunity to play, spear checking type guys throughout the, wargaming. So I take that opportunity. There's some different ones back here. Well, I'll be a Horses Patoot. Okay, we'll throw these in here as well. And slightly different green. I was wondering where those were at. And stop sliding for the love of Jesus. Okay. And yeah, we've been playing those things where I've had like ammunition blow up and stuff. attacked by wild animals. I don't know that I want that to be a common occurrence in my World War II games. It might seem like a little hokey. Let's see, where can we put that little bit? I think here. That's still a pretty popular game system. Oh, they make it what the is it Warlord that makes Congo? Somebody makes one called Congo that's basically the equivalent of that. But I looked at the game list coming up. You know, I'm not going to run anything anymore, so I'm just like, well, let's see what there is to play. And man, I don't even want to go to the con. Like I'm just like, not even the cost of going. It's just the time away. Almost rather do something else with that money. Buy some 3D printed stuff from the UK. Nah, going to the con's cheaper. Every time I see 3D printed, it's like either by Battlefield 3D or it's by like 3 or 4 companies, and they're all in the UK, and the shipping is like $25-$30 minimum. I gotta buy a lot of stuff to justify that amount of shipping, and I don't need a lot of stuff, and there's nothing that I need, really. I noticed a Plastic Soldier company released a bunch of other stuff, but it was like Japanese and Americans for the Pacific, man. Get me some M10s, by God. M10s and M18s. Yeah, it's shove that bastard in there. The new PSC release 3D printed. Oh, you've heard bad things? Okay. Well, there's a little bit of truth in it. I'm sure. Who knows what? I mean, I love their other stuff. Olszewski. 4 more. Bad stuff. I've never ordered from them direct. Never have. I'm not opposed to. I just never have. Two people, two different vendors I've had issues with in the UK. That's it. The Matt guy and minifigs. The people who took over minifigs. That was another shit show. That was a shit show. I'd forgotten about that one. And I love their figures, and I love the detail on the mat. It's just they just didn't handle it right. Since you pick of what happens when that 3D printed resin isn't cured properly. Okay, let's see what we got. Oh, ooh, no bueno. Oh, that's a shame that would happen after you have it painted. It's hollow. That's part of the problem. That's got to be 28 millimeter. Wow. Yeah, I'm not. I am not getting into painting it into doing that. If somebody gave me a 3D printer, I wouldn't do it. The Matt guy was an island. I don't want to poke that leprechaun next. Was he? I don't have any. Everybody knows I don't have anything against the Irish. Irish are all right. Never had a bad experience with them. I've had an experience with people from certain countries. Actually, there are certain countries that seem to have people that are really difficult to work with. Really difficult. As a generalization. And there's a lot of countries I have not come in contact with, but there's some people from a certain country, from a certain part of Europe, that are just a fucking pain in the ass to deal with. I'm going to leave it at that. And not a fan of how those folks act. When they aren't cured properly, the gases and liquid eventually expand on a hot day pop. Ooh. Holy Hindenburg, Batman. I have had drivers I've had to deal with from I don't know exactly where it is, but certain parts of Eastern Europe that are just like a motherfuckers to deal with. You know, they're like worse than people from New York. That's saying something. I'm like, zero people skills, zero tact. I'm like, yeah, it's not gonna get any favors from me doing that shit. Yeah, it's the same because that mat. I'm gonna keep saying it. That mat is absolutely the print that's on it is absolutely fucking gorgeous, and it's a dud. So they got lots of stuff right. It kind of reminds me of like a restaurant that you go to that you really like, and then something happens, and then it just goes to shit, and you're like, what the hell happened, man? All you had to do was just you had the formula, you knew what you were doing, just keep it going. And I actually bought from them based on a recommendation of somebody that recommended. Oh yeah, their stuff is great. I looked at the pictures. I agree. So I learned my lesson. I'm not going to buy. I won't buy another mat sight unseen. I'm probably not going to buy another mat. Period, because they're not going to make it to the size that I need it to be. It seems like once you get over 4'6", you're done. Nobody makes mats that are bigger than 4'6", unless they're custom, and you're not going to be able to pre-see what a custom mat looks like. It's gonna be too late. Good random event. If your 3D printer Panther pops, you could put it down for mechanical failure. Yeah, that'd be a hell of a pop. That'd be like popped if it got hit by like 152 millimeter HE or something like that. And I've seen pictures of like that where it just shatters the plate. How many Panthers I got? 8. I pulled out another Sherman, but I got a ton of Shermans too. Even not just American Shermans, I think I got like 10 of them. Which, I could always use more. I mentioned before one of the things that people get that I don't let it bother me is you got to be happy with the stuff that you have, not with the stuff you don't have. And frequently I have, when I was doing DBA stuff or some DBA stuff in the standpoint of the figures, like I want to build an army and like, okay, well, what manufacturers can I make with what I have? Because nobody really makes figures for whatever. So I put them together from different sources, which is something I actually like to do a lot, and I think I'm pretty good at it. I'm happy with the results. And as soon as I get done doing, some company that didn't make the figures before releases them again. And there's one particular company that's done that multiple times. Is it coincidences or are they following me around like, oh, Tony's almost done with this army. Let's go ahead and make the figures for it. And now it's happening to me with decals. There'll be somebody like, I can't, but they're already made. I just didn't know about it. I'd be like, man, I guess we'll go with these decals. And then after I've got the stuff decal, I'm like, great. Now there's these decals that I would have used instead. You just have to be happy with what you have, because it's just you're never, that's going to continually happen all the time, and there's nothing you can do about it. You just got to make the best decisions that you can with the information that's available at the time, and just live with the consequences. You can't be like, oh, I just finished this Turkish army. Cool. Crap. These guys just came out with Turkish figures. I would have used those instead. You just gotta, just be happy with what you have. It's going to keep happening. So that decal company I couldn't find the other day, District Miniatures or District whatever the hell they are, they make a decal set for U.S. vehicles of the freaking license plate numbers for like the half tracks, like and like the numbers for the tanks. And I'm like, I already came up with a solution and I was happy with it. Why do I have to see this? Well, I'm like, I'm not buying them. Fuck it. I'm not going to go back and redo stuff that I have. Like, I'm not buying that. And they also have like nicknames also, but I actually enjoy painting the nicknames on the vehicles, even though they're not in the font that they would be on the real vehicle. Because in the real vehicle, they would be like stenciled, usually. Usually they're stenciled. And this had like a whole series of stencils of different U.S. vehicle names, which some of them were, I wouldn't use them. They're silly. But even though they may be legitimate vehicles, some things that are legitimate still seem silly, you know? Like painting a white star on the top of a British vehicle. It just, that's ridiculous. I'm not doing that in my army. Yeah, not really a fan of these huge miniatures. Huge miniatures, tufts. The bottom of it is too rough, too brittle. I can't mold it into where I want it to go. I'm sure you guys have encountered stuff like, I'm never buying stuff from this person again. I don't want you to name names. I don't need to out people, but sometimes things don't work out. You know. Sometimes things don't work out. can't like everybody. It's like there's manufacturers that are really popular, and like, you know, maybe it's something you won't touch with a 30-foot pole. I used to get so upset with Essex Miniatures when they gave you a prepackaged army, and they even make the right figures and they don't give them to you in that pack. It's like, and somebody's like, oh, you can just exchange it with them, and that's fine, but this across the pond, and it takes time, and you know, I'd rather just buy the individual packs. And I don't hate Essex Miniatures. They're not my favorite, but I don't dislike them like FAA. I really don't like FAA at all. And the sculptor, even though I don't like his style, is I'll never be as good a sculptor as him. I'm not a sculptor, you know, but I'm not wasting my energies on that. Feltner, I don't know that I'm even going to put something on Feltner. There's hardly a place for him to do a. And these Australian tufts are really difficult to cut in half. They stick great. Let's try this. Yeah, it's trying to cut a booger in half with a X-Acto knife. It just doesn't work. Let's see if we can smush that in place there. And it look okay. That's looking terrible. I'm going to leave this guy with nothing on him. All right. Let's rinse these two, and let's go to gooping these other figures, which means this has got to move out of the way. Let's get the tufts all out of the way here. Hey, you can't stack on top of anything. They're like covered in like slippery lubrication. Fall all over themselves. All right, you guys are supposedly finished. I'm having a hard time. I'm having a hard time waking up today. Okay, these guys all have magnetic bottoms on them. Well, that's been trimmed. All right, we need to do a test on the names. So let's grab a guy. Anything behind him? No. Okay. Let's grab Mueller. I'm looking right at him. And in a perfect world, I would like to not have to replace that piece of wood. So let's see if it's a size that works, or I'm going to have to remove it. this case, it fits on there just fine. Okay, so let's just do these one at a time. Well, I know what I'm going to do then. If that's close, I'm going to move Mueller over here. That should be out of the way. Let's grab one of the longer ones and see if that also applies. Langemann. Where's Langemann? Here's Langemann. That's probably the longest one. Looks like they're going to work. Okay, that's good. That's good to know. Then, so what I'm going to do then is, we're going to remove this. It's the best way to remove this. Let's see if I can. I think doing that little bit of water like I did is probably the best way. Yeah, these are so old that I did this a different way. I'd glue them on the stand apparently, unpainted, and then I'd paint around it. Yeah, there's no point in doing that. Paint the whole thing and then just glue it on. Quicker. That wasn't your elephant that popped, right? That was somebody else's. Schneider, the squad leader. Yeah, that'd be a waste, getting all excited and then all of a sudden pop your paint job. And this nameplate's about to come off. It was rocking. Mo Rockin'. So what we're going to do is let's take some super glue. I thought I had an open one here. It helps if I look in the right place, doesn't it? Usually. And I don't want to apply it directly. This is why I use needles for the epoxy. Because they're reusable. I don't know. Are these really considered needles? I don't know. I've always called them needles. They're not hollow. Good morning, Marcus. This guy's shirt's very, very green. I don't know that I like it, but I'm going to roll with them. I don't have time to repaint them. I made them all slightly different colors on purpose. You know, if the girls weren't here today, I'd probably be tempted to go ahead and play the game. I just don't want to get in the middle of it and have to stop for whatever reason. So we'll see. I'm about ready. I'm confident enough. I just need to do a little bit of homework ahead of time, like putting together, but I don't have to do any. I can just put it on a sheet of paper. It'd be something similar. It'd be, I think 10 figures probably max, including both sides. Just something really, really small. Just to see what kind of wrinkles I encounter and where the answers for them are. I don't really want to set up a battle and not play it. And I could set it up here on this other table. I could do that too. But I got to clear that in the temperature controlled environment. And then I also want to try out the airbrush with the 0.2 needle. So, I want to do pretty much I want to do everything except go to work tomorrow. Everything sounds good except going to work tomorrow. What else is new? Kranka. Bringing it along. Yeah, well, I'm gonna be incompetent, but I'll figure things out. I've played the game, but it's been every bit of 20 years since I played it. And the only reason I didn't is because at that time I didn't have anybody that lived in town. I didn't have the internet where I could, say, well, I'll just play, I'll solo it. Nope, didn't have that. Didn't have anybody around me. And the only place I really had to grab people was from a convention. And a convention is just too limiting. Too limiting on time frame, and you got to get done by a certain time, and yeah, I don't want to do that. I certainly have enough figures painted now to. I got plenty of figures now, actually. How am I going to remember who's who? I remember. That's why you give people a name and not a number. This guy looks like a so and so, instead of this is like a number 7. No. Probably not going to do a scenario with the resistance fighters because their weapons data I'm going to have to create. So probably the easiest thing is to do Americans versus Germans is probably the easiest. But we'll see what the girls have planned for me. My daughter will be gone in a couple of weeks, back to college, so definitely be gaming there. I probably need to clean this table up because if I wait until the garage is ready, I got a 2 by 4 foot table there. This thing's almost 3 by 3. It's big enough to do anything small. This computer's right here. All I got to do is it's on a stand where I can turn this thing, 90 degrees and stuff. I'd turn it, flip it the other way, and we're good to go. I could use my phone as a secondary camera if I had the desire to do that sort of a thing. That's probably putting too much pressure on me. That's a good way to get frustrated. The Panzerschrecker from. These are all names I got from Close Combat. I could have come up with my own, but let's have this one. Yeah, see, this is the guy that runs with Olszewski. This Olszewski is a junior leader that's squat, and there's a machine gunner that's squat, and then the assistant is Lights. And all 3 of these guys are crouched down. It just makes sense. I don't think I got enough Russians to do a Russian scenario. I have 4 riflemen. You know, if I had like a light machine gunner or something like that. Whereas I got all the variations for the. We'll do a sniper hunt. That usually works well. Try out something to use grenade rules. Absolutely. Well, everybody's going to have a couple grenades or something like that. You know, you could do grenades and then handle them kind of the way ASL handles Panzerfaust. In other words, you try to use one and then realize you don't have one, which I'm not really a fan of that. You think you would freaking know whether you had a Panzerfaust or not. Line up a great shot and it ends up being with a squad that didn't have one. But I do like using figures that initially have the correct weapon. So for instance, this Becker guy, wherever he is, I just did him. Becker. Yeah, Becker. He's a private first class. He's got the little emblem there on the side. It's cast into the figure. He's got a Panzerfaust on him. This guy will always start with a Panzerfaust. You know, I don't have to do it that way. I just choose to do it that way. It makes sense. You know, like this guy could get a jam on his Mauser and go down and pick up an MP40. Well, you write down that he has an MP40, but you still use that figure. But initially, you should at least have the weapons that he starts with. You know, it'd be silly otherwise. Like, there's got to be some rules, man. You can't just like randomly, just say, oh, this guy's equipped with a pistol. Well, he doesn't have one, or that kind of stuff. It looks like he's got a submachine gun. Well, he doesn't. He just has a pistol. I said, that's just hokey. So you're not going to use this Becker figure if you're doing 1941 stuff with the Germans because you automatically have a Panzerfaust and you can't have that. Okay. So that is being done. I should strip, yeah, I'm going to strip the names off these two, even though I can't really proceed with them because I don't have these names printed. There's lots of stuff I can do. Worth and Vila, yeah, I'm not going to forget that. Vila's a junior leader, yeah, he's the assistant squad leader. At this scale of the game, is you can really tell the difference. You should really be able to tell the difference between, the Germans and the Russians, for instance, especially in 1941. The German squad's smaller and they have 2 leaders. Regardless of troop quality of the leadership, you got a lot more flexibility when you can split the team in 2, and you got guys that can modify half of their squad, one way or the other. One guy can run the rifles, the other guy can go run the MG. Could do something with some Panzer IIIs and a KV-1. just vehicles and just see what the. I gotta look at. I gotta see if there's at least a chance to penetrate it. There should be. I mean, you should be like point blank range, get it in the rear, and like shove it up the tailpipe. And there's like a maybe 10% chance. There's stuff you can do to the crew other than that. An AT gun would be nice to have. I have them. I just gotta paint the crew, paint the gun. Okay. Got these guys here and the Mortero. All right. I'm gonna go grab a soda and I'll be right back and we'll start gooping these guys. And we'll finish this little bit of soda from yesterday. Soviet anti-tank rifle. That's something should be on my short list to paint. A Soviet ATR. Okay, let's get the goop out. I'm really, really tired. I'm like in need of a nap. I'm almost done with this stuff, but this is just, it's too much of a fight. We're going to use the newish one. I'm not going to throw this away. Just going to use that for like a road or something like that. And what were you using to apply this stuff on? I think a little brush. I think a brush was working probably the best. Shenka. Yeah, if this was the battlefield, so if I turn this 90 degrees and the battlefield was here, but it'd be the other way, right? Can you guys see enough of it on the screen? I think so. I think so. Yeah, I mean, it could be, something really short range. Storming a building, storming a room. Been up since 5 a.m. working on your Caesar and Strelitz Italians. You see, I finally got my first figures that are plastic, painted all the way up. Where did they go? I thought they were here. Here they are. The Soviet tank crew. No, I took a picture of them. Yeah. Yeah, I was really happy with how they turned out. I don't know how durable they are. But these tank guys. Okay, the Soviets get 3 tank men and they have to jump in their T-26 and get it running again. Well, there's a scenario. Talk about small. What are they equipped with? Two guys with pistols and one guy with a Pepe shot. That's about right. Ryan has excellent poses. Just finished 2 U.S. tankers. I was thinking about getting that set. I like the Orion figures a lot. And they seem to be... The plastic on them seems to be hard enough that they're not going to be like all bendy. Like I pulled out my Airfix figures the other day. I just have no interest in painting them. They've got these bendy ass freaking rifles that you just... The wind blows the wrong direction and the Enfield bends. I just don't see them. I just don't see the stuff sticking to them and staying on there. I just don't see that working out. I don't want to find out after I've spent a couple hours painting them and my work going down the window. Just because somebody else doesn't value my time doesn't mean I don't. I could be working on something else. So, but those Orion figures I think are really nice. The sculpting on them is good. Some poses aren't my favorite, but as a general rule, they're all pretty darn good. I'm pretty impressed with them. Yeah, the tankers, the U.S. tankers, or somebody was selling both sets of the U.S. tankers, the winter and the summer U.S. ones. Those that come in handy. I just wish the tanker uniform wasn't so lame. It really is. The U.S. tanker uniform is really pretty lame. And it's really that football helmet. The football helmet's the worst thing. I mean, it makes the Russian tanker uniform look better, and it's pretty lame too. Strelitz has the hard plastic. Okay. Who are the guys I got? Zvezda. I got some gun crewmen from Zvezda, and they're really hard plastic. Of course, they don't weigh a thing. That is an advantage of using the pennies. Is now you give this figure that doesn't weigh anything some heft. Like now it's got something to it. you know? You know, this is really time consuming, but then results are worth it. So ultimately, that's what's important. All right, and we'll come over here to the little happy little rocks. Black granite. Yeah, it's real granite. Not available in stores. I can probably use some Woodland Scenics products or something like that would, some really fine talents, and probably be happy with that as well. I just happen to have a lot of this stuff laying around that I got for free. One guy down. More like the Orion plastic, some flex but harder than Italeri Airfix Vesda. Vesda is rigid plastic. It is. That's a good name for it. Yeah. Kind of like Pegasus models. I do like the Pegasus figures. Yeah, that's fair assessment. The Pegasus is brittle. Just damn near brittle. And those Vestas are like that. Yeah, they're brittle as shit. Which is the sniper do? Can I do that? Do I have a? I mean, this is the sniper to use because he's got the bolt action Mauser. What guy do I have? No, I don't have him finished yet. No, I could use anybody as a sniper, but that's not the whole purpose. I'm sure I want to bad enough. I could commit. I could find out. You know, all you need is the stats for the pistols of each side, the rifles of each side, the submachine guns of each side, and that's it. I mean, grenades. There's a lot of data in those rules, but a lot of it just ends up being noise. Like you got to get rid of you got to put right stuff down, so you're just looking at that stuff, not everything else. But I haven't looked at the rules in 20 years. That's the last time was in 2004. September of 2004 was the last time that I ran the game. And that's also when I found DBA, and well, there you go. That's one traded one thing for the other. What the hell is that? That's a weird icon. Oh, Oh, I'm glad you interrupted me to tell me that there's a chance for thunderstorms this afternoon. Of course there is. There's always a chance for thunderstorms. Why this picture goes sideways? I need a vertical. There we go. Well, I know my daughter is going to be, if not, let's set our goals really small. I think I can get the motivation to clear that table and set up a battle. I at least set up the terrain for it. Is what I meant. I know I can do that, and I think that's where I need to do it. I don't need to do it in the garage. It's still too damn hot, and yeah, I think we can do that. I think that's reasonable. That doesn't interfere with anything. Having that area, it's just a holding area for some of my buildings, which they're not holding them anymore. I've got them in the case now. Yeah, all the buildings are up in here. So we'll pull some of these out, like something like this. If you're doing Russian stuff, well, we don't. Oh, this one doesn't have any. This doesn't have any signage on it. Perfect. Um, yeah, yeah. We need to fight in here to find out what exactly I need to be. Do I need to build little ladders in there? You know. Hey, I should call Mitch over. Oh wait, he's working. Guy works the wrong nights, man. I need a white collar guy to play with. Anybody know any white collar people that don't work on weekends? I used to have to work on weekends. Yeah, when I had a part time job back in the '90s, back in the early '90s. These guys are going to take a little bit of a time to dry, so I need to get these. I shouldn't stop until these are complete because we're going to need some drying time. So you can't tell. You'll tell when I'm able to take pictures of these guys when they're complete. But I would take like the field, like the German field drab and stuff like that, and add little bits of other colors into them, like brown and stuff. So they would be very like, for instance, this guy's pants are just a little bit on the brown side. Because if you look at like, a bunch of German uniforms, they might as well be Confederate uniforms. There's all kinds of different, in that, they're ragtag looking, you know. Maybe not all the time, but there's variations in the material and, how long one of them's been in service, and they get, soiled, and, they're not pristine by any stretch of the imagination. All right. Where did it go? What are you doing down here? I didn't say go down there. Yeah, I did a sniper hunt with that Firefight Normandy. I played Firefight Normandy probably 10 years ago. And it's okay. I feel like it's not as good because you don't have that management of the leadership things, but and there's no vehicle rules for it. You'd have to create your own, which, I could very well do, but I don't have the time for it. If I wasn't a painter, I could be using all this time to, play test shit. But okay, that's Langeman, even though it doesn't have his name on him. We know who you are. Okay, Schaefer. Schaefer, who is a MG 42 gunner. I feel like that's a name that means something. Like that's a trade. What's a Schaefer? A guy that shaves people? A barber? A trade name. What was in it? Oh, the little bits of wood. Yeah. Well, bits and bobs. I was after I got offline yesterday morning. I still had some energies to do something, and I looked in my closet. I'm like, man, I got too much space that's consumed by too many extra pieces from Plastic Soldier Company tanks. So I got my cheap cutters, not the Tamiya ones, the cheap ones, and cut all the unnecessary plastic bits off of them and stored them away. And I still have a ton. I mean, when you get the set, for instance, that has the Czech 38s and the martyrs, you're either left with a lot of martyr pieces or a lot of Czech 38 pieces. If you build the martyrs, you got Czech 38 pieces like turrets and all kinds of stuff. And if you build the Czech 38s, you got a lot of extra martyr stuff. You know, but I actually took a book to bed last night, and so I found something that's really interesting on it, and it's in the bedroom right now, so I don't have it right here. It's with that German handbook or whatever, but enough to piqued my curiosity. And it was talking about, the Pack 36 and how many of them they made, and they couldn't do that, and well, how, the problems that it had with it, and those sorts of things. And then the Pack 38, the improvements, how many they made, when it went into service, all that stuff I'm reading. And I get to the Pack 40. And the Pack 40, it said something along the lines that made it sound like a Pack 40 does not have any HE with it. And I just find that really, like, that's an important thing to find out. Like, if you've got like a Pack 40 that's sitting in a scenario and it doesn't have any HE, that's kind of important, There's a difference between, there's very few rounds of HE and, like, it doesn't have any. So I'm going to have to look into that. As I'm pretty sure that's not addressed in whatever this is, in the Face of Battle. And I don't think that that's right. I don't think that that's right. That the anti-tank gun wouldn't have any high explosive. And I'm not sure how many rounds it would have. Probably 20 with them. That's a pretty reasonable number. It's not an insane amount. And it all depends if it has an ammunition vehicle near it. But, I have the same issue. Got bags of PSC extra bits. I even made a German wreck out of one. Yeah, I got a lot. And I don't want to throw them away. I mean, the stuff is good. As soon as I throw it away, I'll need it. And the Stewart, the M5 Stewart stuff, man, if I could just, like, clutch a bottom chassis holding everything together, I could make another tank out of them. Make 3 other tanks out of them. But I'm like, at that point, is it really worth my time? Like, I have a limited amount of time, so. We'll leave that one for grass, and we'll put a little rock up here at the front. And I'll leave that open for grass. Okay, there's Schaefer. Got a scenario with a KV2. There's one KV2 all the way at the end of the table. And you got like 3 check 38s or something like that. And the KV2's facing the wrong way. Right? Like, you got a board that's long like this. The KV2's facing that way. And the check 38s are coming from the opposite direction. You got the KV2's got to rotate. It's probably you got to do a combination of rotating the hull and then rotating the turret ahead of time. The turret's going to rotate really, really slow, like 5 degrees or 10 degrees or something like that, 15, something stupid slow every turn. And then you got to rotate the hull also. That gains you another, 45 degrees or something like that each turn. Can you turn fast enough and get a round out before they're gone? Just an exercise, not really a scenario, an exercise. A homework assignment. What's your homework assignment? We're going to find out how slow KV2s really do fire, Looks like the Valentine set's the same. I was thinking about how to make a bottom hole, plastic card. Yep. If it was smaller, I'd just cast that out of that blue stuff and make it out of the green stuff, but by the time you do all that, is it worth the $20 that you save? Well, Valentine's. Why you got Valentine's, man? You a Valentine lover? The Valentines were in Operation Crusader, and as far as I can tell, they were part in that of that a tank brigade that was I forget which one it is. I don't even want to guess what it was, but it was supporting the Kiwis. So they were the ones that were driving on. They were driving on Tobruk in the northern area of it, and they came across. They were headed towards the airfield, and they were the ones that ran into one of the headquarters of the Afrika Korps. Like the day after the Afrika Korps ran into the headquarters of the 4th Tank Brigade, 4th Armored Brigade. There was like, back-to-back days of them capturing each other, but yeah, it's reasonable to have a couple of them with some Kiwis. I don't think I'm going to get any Kiwis with them silly hats. I don't really like those, whatever those hats are. They're weird. Crusaders Warriors I nailed it. Yeah, sounds like somebody watched a video on that. I need to listen to that again with notes. Just get my notepad. I'm like, read more about this, Jock column. That's going to be the first thing I do. If I do the desert, I got to build me a jock column. Couple 25-pounders with a cruise, with her bare-chested cruise. And, shit, that's going to be a pain to try to paint their hair in that scale. Or are the, did they shave their chest back? No. No, that's a new thing. That's gotta suck. Like to be in the desert and then like be so hot and have a hairy back. Oh, holy hair shirt, Batman. Literally. I'm gonna take some of this. I'm gonna goop this out. I'm gonna use the scooper that this silly thing came with. I gotta find a use for these things. And then we'll close this bad boy back. Nine hours, probably at least 3 times now. Yeah, I got to go through that with a fine-tooth comb. There's all kinds of little, just like we were talking, the same thing that happened. We pulled up that issue with the battle where the Japanese got eaten by crocodiles. I didn't know anything about that. Next thing you know, you're reading about that and creating another. I got to find what episode has what War Game Soldier strategy has that scenario in it. It's interesting. I'd never heard of it before. And I've listened to probably, I don't know how many hours it is. Is it 9 hours? Is that what you said? If it's 9 hours, I've listened to about 8 hours of it. I've made it all the way almost to the end. The good thing, there's one really good thing about his videos. When I normally would read something like that, I got to have an atlas next to me and try to figure out where things are. He provides the map, so you don't need that. Like that's like huge. He gives you like the relative distances that things are from each other. And I started doing, before I even finished it, I've already started reading, I'm doing the Ghazala one. And I left it, I moved on. I can't listen to them in the car. There's the, that's a good way to have an action. Be looking at a map over there. He starts getting into whose fault the loss of things are at the end. Not as interested as that. Yeah, like you don't have to go into that. I mean, like if you listen to the whole thing, you know whose fault it is. I think the gist of it is like the British fucked up, and then the Germans weren't able to capitalize on it, made their own mistakes, and the British were able to recover. Oh, low flying aircraft. Get the yak ready. Rommel went and tried to capitalize on it, and Rommel did one of the things that he always used to do: take too big of risks, and I didn't realize that him and is it Naring? No, Crewell. Him and Crewell just did not see eye to eye. I did not know that before I started watching it. But I don't have an issue. I don't have a copy of the Osprey catfights of the Wehrmacht hierarchy. And you could do a scenario. I have a Rommel figure. I could build that Dorchester, whatever thing, and you could do that scenario where he's like spending the night in Dorchester and he's got to get back to friendly lines. There's a role playing game for you. But I got to dim the lights down really low for a night scenario. Okay, I'm feeling pretty good about finishing these guys now at this point. When you use some of this material and it's a little too sticky, it's really hard to work with because it's hard to get it off of whatever you're applying with it. It has difficulty getting off from the brush or the little, I'd say a spatula, but I don't have a spatula this small, so this brush works just fine. And that's why it takes longer than it should. big rock. Oops. Use your X-Acto knife and just keep cleaning it with water. Probably not the best, but that'll be today's work for me. Got to run in this morning. Check out for you later today. Okay, well, I'll see what I can do. This is what I should be doing. I should be working on this stuff. This is usually a positive experience. Okay, I gotta take a little bit of a bathroom break, and I'll be right back in a few. Okay, we're back. This guy's technically done. I'm probably gonna add a little bit more goop to Vila here. I don't know when I started gooping this guy, but that's a big old rock. Schneider's up next. So normally I'm like, I'm not going to travel these figures. So why are they even magnetized? Well, if I don't want to store them in my case, I need to store them in one of those trays. I don't really want them loose in a tray. So, they'll stick really well on there. Should be able to. And we'll do that in a second. We're going to clear these guys off here and we're going to put them in a tray. We're going to designate one of the trays. I should have a couple of them that are empty. They don't have any 15 millimeter troops in them because my 15 millimeter troops are not in the old display case. The old display case, the wall mounted one, I haven't mounted it on the wall yet. I'm not sure where I'm going to do that. I think this room's a little too, I could put it here, but it's, I think it's going to be too restrictive for me. And that's pretty much the only place that makes sense in this room to put it. And I don't really want to pollute the rest of the house with a display case of that stuff. Okay, this is Schneider. Becker with the Panzerfaust. Here's a okay. Herr Halm. 7 folks. Come on, man. Say something. Prove it. Now, you guys can be quiet or whatever. I don't need to out you. I guess I could use the Soviets that have the old basing. I'm just not very. I don't. They're going to disturb me how they're going to look. They're not going to look very good on the battlefield. Between them being a figure manufacturer that I don't really care for, and not really happy the way the flesh looks on them. It needs to be doctored up. I just don't want to put the work into them. Considering I'd rather just paint a new figure because like these Russians look good, not those other ones. Not those other ones. People freak out with sets of rules. Oh, look at a set of rules. Man, that set of rules looks really thick. I said, well, maybe it's really thick because it explains everything. You know, maybe it doesn't try to get all the set of rules in like one sentence. And they're covered in plastic too, so that adds to the thickness of them as well. But I don't know why they haven't put the rules back in circulation. Maybe they're not available digitally, and then it's like, well, what are we supposed to do then, you know? Okay. I like the rocks. It adds a little something. Don't stand behind that guy. You're going to get a facial. Do not want to be standing behind a Panzerschreck or a Panzerfaust or a bazooka or anything that has the exerts those excruciatingly scalding gases. You don't want to fire those from inside of a vehicle either, like a half track or anything like that. Don't shoot Panzerfaust from half tracks. Actually, now that I think, I don't know if the Panzerfaust does have that kind of a back. Well, we'll find out. one rock in here. It's pink. You won't be using that one. Got no place for a pink rock. Maybe in the desert. Lights. Yeah, I don't care what skill other people do. I don't care what other rules other people play. Like, do what you want, you know? I don't care what kind of basing you use or what kind of magnets you put on the bottom or if you put the steel. You know, people like getting into like, there's two things that people are like super opinionated at. I am too, but I don't try to convert anybody. You know, there's people who are really uh, willing to die on the hill of basing or not basing vehicles. And I've already said the reasons why I base my vehicles, and I'm actually on the fence either way. I wish sometimes the vehicles could be unbased, but I don't see a way to have them all one way or another unless they're all based. Some vehicles just would not survive unbased, and I don't want to see some of them based and some of them not. But regardless, that and the whole, you know, putting things on metal stands or as opposed to putting on magnets, and then it just, you know, I've tried a couple different methods. The one that works for me best is the one that I use. You know, I want to put magnets on my stands so I can play on a refrigerator if I want to. Now that's not what I do it, but you know, and then whatever you use that's metal, make sure it's got enough oomph. Because the first thing I did was I used metallic. I used the magnets from Litco, and I wanted to carry them in a plastic case, you know, in case I needed to fly with them, like the Historicon. The first time I went to Historicon, and probably the second time as well, I traveled with a Plano box that had the removable containers, and the removable containers are all plastic. They're individual Plano things themselves. So at that point, you have to create something that's metal in them. So I use the stuff that looks like magnets. It looks exactly like magnets, except it's impregnated. It's made with metal properties. It's flex metal or whatever. Flex steel is what they call it. And the figures don't grip to that really well because there's not a whole lot of mass. That's what I should be doing. There's not a whole lot of mass to the metal stuff. It doesn't grip that well. What works better is using something that's actually metal and then putting the magnet thing on it. There's a lot more mass and it just grips better. You know, and people will be like, no, I use metal stands and I put magnets on the... A lot of people like to do that. They put metal stands and they put magnets inside the carrying thing to hold them in place. You don't get as good a grip. If you have two items, you got one item that's on your figure and the other one that's on the carrying case, right? One of them, if they both had a lot of mass, it would grip even better, right? Well, you can't. You can't have something on a stand that's super massive because then it would be really thick. So it's got to be the carrying case thing. And they don't make a carrying case thing out of magnets. You know, so that one has to be the one that's metal. So it just makes sense that to me that the one that's the magnet part is the bottom of the stand. You know, but it would work, the only way it would work better is if both pieces that you're trying to, you know, attach have a lot of mass to them. And that's just simply from protecting your figures. So one of them's got to be thin, either the carrying case or, I mean, if they're both thin, then you don't have a good grippage. And at that point, you know, why even? I mean, it does make a difference, even if you're, you know, even when I just use the flex steel in the plastic containers, and it looks exactly like magnets. I believe this is I believe this is the flex steel here at the bottom. I had some left over. I believe this is the stuff right here. You know, but it just doesn't have the mass as a tray. So you get better grippage with the tray. And the trays are really cheap. I mean, they're really cheap. I mean, they're like $6 or something like that. Easy. And they got a cover. I'll show you one of them in a second because we're going to put all these guys away that are painted. And we're going to sort what we have in there. We got to finish this guy in the mortar, and then that's what we're going to do next while these guys dry. You know, it's fine. Be happy with whatever you do. I give the reasons why I do things the way I am, but you're not going to convert me. I mean, unless you come up with some novel idea. I've thought about it. I mean, I put a lot of thought into it before I decided to go with what I went to go with because I don't want to have to change it back. I don't want to be like, that guy is right. I would have been better off doing X, Y, Z. And I don't have to convert anybody to my way of thinking. I'm perfectly happy letting you guys do things the way you're continuing to do them. I'm pointing out why I do them because I get asked. Just like people get, people will say, hey, what rules are you using? Oh, this is the invariable question. That one, and what do you do for a living? What rules are you using? And then I tell them, and invariably I never heard of them. Of course you haven't heard of them. They didn't do a very good job of putting them out there, and they're out of print, and they came out 20 years ago, more than 20 years ago. This guy doesn't have a magnet? He does not. Holy slacker. And that has a magnet. It's Worth. And Worth is actually one of my favorite figures. The sculpting on him is really nice. He's in 1941 Germany. In other words, he's got the stone gray. He's got the stone gray pants and the field gray. 1941 or earlier, but I don't plan on doing anything before Barbarossa. I just, I could do desert stuff that's before Barbarossa, but I'm not doing, France. I'm not doing. It's just didn't last long enough. And Norway lasted twice as long as France did. Because it landed in April in Norway. And there were still troops in Norway when France fell. I didn't know that. I found that the other day. I'm like, what? Get out of the city. Old Worth. Yeah, I really don't care what other scales other people do or rule systems or how you store things. Only reason I even bring it up is because people ask me. I don't need to convert anybody, and I don't need to be told what to do. It doesn't pay enough. All right. And let's get some happy rocks growing in here. Nobody here but us rocks. And now the mortar. I hope I have an empty tray. It's going to be really interesting if I don't. Just two should suffice. Oh, that moved. All right. Let's rinse both of these things. Take the rest of this goop. And we can take this stuff off the work area. Free little plastic spatula that came with a cheap brushes. Never really found much of a use for them until now. Okay, let's go get one of those trays. Preferably one that's not in use. Could be a little bit of a challenge. Okay, no, I got a few out there. Let's make sure we have a lid that works. I got a couple different styles. I wanted to keep buying the same one, but as always, it discontinues stuff. So let's make sure this lid fits on here. Yeah, okay, perfect. And all this is a baking tray, Teflon coated or whatever. They're about $6, and there's a lot of steel mass to this. And I've been very happy with the kind of grippage that you get from this. And I'm just going to, well, let me take the figures that I have out in the case first. You know, and you can put, you know, vehicles and stuff too. You can be like, okay, well, let's take this with us, and you know, you can. I mean, yeah, if you really shake it, it'll move, but you know, this will get you out to the garage. You're not going to drop them on the ground unless you lose the whole damn thing. And the heavier the vehicle, the better it should work. Like this thing is, this ugly duckling is solid. It moves a little bit too, but God, this thing's ugly. Okay, so we got our 10 partisan dies. And these all should have modern basing. Yep, there's 10 of them. Yeah. Hey, look, they're not moving. Perfect. I'm going to put these on this tray first, and then we can come and sort them over here. Hopefully I don't fall from between here and there. These are mostly Americans. About a squad's worth of Germans. I'm gonna put the Americans here behind these. Let's see what we got here. Let's organize this stuff a little bit. We got a guy with an submachine gun and a BAR. Most of these guys are going to be rifles. Let's put the special weapons guys there. Rifleman Crawford, Rifleman Calvin, Rifleman Johnson, Rifleman Flanagan. There's a BAR guy, Davis. Rifleman Martin. Is he part of the mortar crew? Nope, he's just a crouch guy. Okay. Fair enough. Rifleman Ludlow. Okay, Anderson has a Tommy gun. Moran has an M1 carbine. Higgs has an M1 carbine. He's the FO. Marr has a Thompson. This is part of the mortar crew. Jones. Another rifleman, Dickerson. Stop being such a Dickerson. And Morris. Morris, Jones, and then the other guy, that Willard, that didn't make it in. And then we've got, we got more riflemen. Good. Scott. The platoon sergeant, Wallace. And Jeffers, who's the LT. I'm going to take the two BAR guys, Terry and Davis. And we'll put the LT and the platoon sergeant there. Okay, and that's all the Americans I have painted. I have a lot to paint, but that's the only ones I have painted. All right, let's put the Krauts over on this side. Oh, I'm sorry. I got another guy with a rifle, Varela. He's a assistant squad leader. Okay, anybody else? Any other interlopers? Okay, on the German side, we got a lot of riflemen, hopefully. Alderman. Alderman and Keller. And Larson, who is an assistant squad leader with a rifle. You got to get gypped on that squad. Freeman. Engelman, he's the assistant to the MG, to this MG guy, which is Zorner. Zorner and Engelman, those guys work together. Rifle grenade guy named Brandt. Put him in the special weapons area. Okay, MP40, here is an assistant squad leader named Bear, who's equipped with a Panzerfaust. And he's a rifleman Kaufman that's getting ready to get his grenade on. Hirsch with the MP40. Bloom is a radio man. Langer's another rifleman. All right, that's it here. That's all I had done until these guys came up and running. And of course, you know, they all have the names there on the bottom. Why do they have names? Well, because that's how the game works. You know, you have tokens that have the person's name on them. When you pull that token, that's who gets to act. Two tokens per character per turn. As a general rule, there are exceptions, but 80% of the time, maybe even more than 80% of the time, that's the case. 2 Turkins. Okay. All right. So the Germans, what we got? Who do we add on to the thing here? We've got assistant squad leader Olszewski. This guy just has an MP40. He's just a regular. He doesn't have any rank. He could be a ranked guy, but he doesn't have any rank built onto the figure, which is kind of cool. You know, I kind of like that. Okay, here's Willard, the Romanian mortar man. Okay, so the mortar team is these guys right here. Morris, Willard, and Jones. And then we got Terry and Davis. So I could use some more BAR guys. Like 2 more with this percentage. Don't have any American snipers. Don't own any American sniper figures. They don't make any. They don't make any of the manufacturers that I had. It's not really a pressing need, actually. Okay, Hirsch. These guys are drying, so we're not going to count them. We got this guy's laying down on the job. Lehman with a MP40, but he's not a officer. He doesn't have the rank on his sleeve. Jurgensen is the 1941 sniper. He's the Barbarossa sniper. He's got the stone gray pants and the... we'll put him over here with his special folks. And we got more guys over here. The platoon sergeant Stefan and LT, who is Kreiser. And Kellner is a MG42 guy. So these 2 guys go together. This MG34 guy, sorry. And his assistant is... Where is he? Or is he one of these guys that didn't get this stuff done to him yet? I think it's Littmeyer. No, Littmeyer has the mortar. He's part of the mortar crew team, which is Littmeyer, Dorman. I think this is a 4-manner, I think. Gluck. And the mortar's being based, so it's not ready yet. This mortar that's over here is a Soviet one. I'm gonna put the Soviets down here. I have a lot of Soviets, but I don't have a lot of Soviets painted. Okay, Metzler's another squad leader. Where are we putting those guys here? And Niemak is another guy. He doesn't have rank on his shoulder, but he's usually the guy that goes with a heavy machine gun, which is Ahrens and Feltner, and these guys fit into each other like so. Okay, so let's compress this a little bit. So the guy that runs with him, where is he? I want to say I had a figure for him. I don't know who the hell he is. Because it would have been another figure by that. Maybe it was Freeman. Maybe it was Freeman that I was using to run with him. I mean, ultimately, it doesn't matter. It could be any of them, but I like using the same manufacturer. So if the machine gunner is a battlefield guy, I want the assistant to also be a battlefield guy. Now, they can switch it if you need to, but like I said, it's from a starting point. One rifle grenade. I actually have one figure that I know for a fact that got lifted from me. I entered a painting contest many years ago here locally at a convention, like a one-day con that they did, and I had a second rifleman, German rifle grenade guy, and he's disappeared. I don't remember what his name is, but some fucker has him. What do we have? It's the mortar with Melnikov, Baranov, who's the mortar leader with the Pepe Shah, the gunner Sobolev, and the guy that can't take it anymore is Kaneshiev. All right, and then we got some Soviet riflemen: Goldash, Budenkin, Gebev, and Grigoriev. And the Soviet tank crew, which have no names because, well, you know what? I'm going to paint numbers on them right now. We're going to paint white numbers on the bottom because I don't want these specifically to be certain guys because they're not in play until something happens to your tank. You know, if the tank has to bail, and this is what we have painted so far. This is what we have painted. This is what we have completed so far. What we have painted that we're happy with is these guys also. And then that's all the figures that I have. As I do have some Russians, but the Russians are, they just, I don't like the FAA figures, and I'm not even going to fool with them. I'm not going to fool with them. So, you know, things that would be useful to have for scenarios would be, the medium machine gun for the Soviets. I need a squad leader for them as well. Anti-tank rifle. Let's pull some of those things out. Let me take some notes and then let's pull some of those things out that we should be working on sometime in the near future for scenarios that would be useful. So for the Soviets, we could have a sniper. We could have a Maxim. An issue of Maxim. It's belt fed. Squad leader, ATR. You can always use more riflemen and stuff, but just for like little small learning scenarios. Okay. For the U.S., we could have a BAR gunner. Another one. These two guys that are hiding underneath here, right? They're still here? Yeah. They got damage, but they're good to go other than I got to paint the edges of them and tuft them. So I'll finish them up when I finish these guys. So we got two more Americans here with a 30 cal team. I got 3 Brits, but I don't have I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. That's a deep hole. And the Germans, I'm not going to paint any more German guys other than Mr. Hoffman that we have up here. Yeah, so let's get the we're going to paint the bottoms on these guys. Okay, let's put the cover on this. Keeps dust and shit from getting on them. We don't need to dust our figures per se. All right, let's get some white paint. What am I going to do with these guys as they dry? Just tilt them on their side? Probably. I don't have a white paint marker. Otherwise, that'd be the way to go. Let's use the folk art. What in the folk art? And I didn't want to put a stand on there, a little propped up thing with a number. It just looked. I didn't want to do that. Well, that's overkill. um, well, I literally can't see anything. I can't make out those kind of details. I need to. Nope, not that one. Something like this. Yep. All right, so one's going to be the guy with the pit. See, you got this white shit on me. Let's make sure we get all that off. We don't want to transfer off to the figure and then we got to correct something. Guy with a Pepe shot. It's European, so 1. All right, 2 will be the guy standing up, 3 is the guy kneeling. See if we can do a Russianish type number. Two. And then this is 3. Okay, and we'll let those dry. Yeah, so you've got this sheet that comes on your vehicle that says, you know, it'll have the figures listed, like, you know, you got a commander, it's Timoshenko, and you got some other guy that's, you know, Smirnov or whoever, you know, and then when they bail out, I'll put a number next to him. If the guy like survives the bailout, I mean, if the guy cooks in there, there's no point in having figures for him, you know. I mean, if I had to have 4 individual figures or 5 individual figures, depending on the tank crew size, for every single tank I had, I'd be painting these things until the cows come home, and they would never be in use unless something bad happened to them. So it doesn't make any sense to. And the same thing's going to happen with the Germans. The Germans are not going to have are not going to have dedicated individual figures that represent, you know, this guy's in a Mark III, this guy's in a Mark II, that kind of stuff. It'll be exactly the same thing. Okay, so let's look at some of these figures. Let's grab the Soviets first, if we can, and we'll get these figures the hell out of the way. And this should be relatively easy to do, because I've already pre-sorted these figures the other day. Okay, this is Brits. That's exactly the one we do not need. Okay. This one is. What the hell is this one? Okay, this is the Soviets one, but I think I got more Soviets in there. Why is there only that many in there? We got some other Soviet guys in here. All right, well, they're pre-sorted, but they're not all together. Okay, here's more Soviets. Maybe they didn't have a big bag for them or something. Put them all together in the same thing. Let's see. This German tank crew members, we don't give a shit about that. Oh, here's another. We're doing that next. It's time for that. See, all this should be together. Be all in the same bag. That's simple. I just add them in right now. Add these guys in as well. That's all the soapets. All right, they were just in packages on the ground inside the container. All right. Yeah, it's time to do this. It's scenario time. We're doing this stuff. What are these? They're freaking shell holes and like little bunkers, but they're like dirt ones. I know I can get 2 guys in there. I might be able to get 3 guys in here. Yeah, this one's almost painted. Got a little roof on it, which I may not be able to put on. We can use unpainted figures. Let's grab these guys. They're all on pennies. So you got these shell holes. How many guys can fit in here? 3 would be ideal. I could fit 3 by stacking them in there and shouldn't be damaging the figures. Okay, so we got 3 shell hole type things. Yeah, okay, cool. And then the bunkers better be able to hold 3 as well. I mean, that'd be kind of silly if the shell hole holds more. But it may be that they just hold 2. Yeah, okay, they hold 2. Now, can I put them in here and still put the roof on? I cannot. Okay, well, that's just one of those things that, you know, it could be one of those that I cut out a little piece of cardboard. It's got 2 little circles for these guys to be on. And this is, you know, bunker whatever. And then off to the side here, you have this little piece of cardboard with 2 little circles. You know, just like a little card. And that's the 2 guys that are inside, and they're in that particular bunker. But we got 2 of those. We got 2 of these bunkers. And we got 4 shell holes. And these guys are painted already, so we can work on these immediately. And we just need to prime this. That's what we're going to work on next. That makes sense. I am going to still pull out these figures that we talked about, but this is a pretty reasonable thing to work on next, because this is pretty darn useful. Okay. These are Soviet guys with paper shots. Okay, so not them right now. What's this? An empty bag? Get out of here. All right, what's in here? I suspect this is the ATRs. At least one ATR in there. These are assault engineers and scouts, and yeah, these guys have a little smocky things. I'm not worried about them right now. These are the FAA guys. I hate these guys. Hate these FAA figures. Special guys with flags and stuff. Not yet. Need more Soviets for that. Soviet self-propelled gun crew. Okay, these are the Foundry guys, including there's a Maxim. Their Maxim is pretty hardy, so that's a possibility. I want to get a Maxim out there. Here is an ATR gunner. Here's an ATR gunner. Oh, here's another Maxim already built. Well, who the hell is this one by? Oh, this is the Battlefield one. Okay. Guys with SVTs. Soviet officers. Snipers. Okay. Regular old riflemen. 50mm mortar. LMG. SHQ guys. Okay, cool. All right, so sniper. Let's grab a sniper out of here. And I'd use the lady sniper, but the lady sniper has a semi-automatic rifle. Okay, so we got one guy that's like wearing a burqa or something. That's also a semi-automatic rifle. Okay. This guy's laying down. That's not bad, but he's got a ghillie suit on. Is this the lady? This is the lady. Olga. This guy's got some kind of camouflage. This guy's got a padded suit. All right, we're going to do this one, and I'm going to leave Olga near. I may change my mind and do Olga. I'm not going to do Olga, because Olga's late war. Padded suit dude. All right, that's how I make decisions. Just think about shit and then just go with my gut. All right, there's an ATR guy standing up. The combat miniatures have an ATR guy that's laying down. How durable is his barrel? Because if he's not going to survive, I think it's pretty durable. I like that. I like that ATR a lot. And then he needs an assistant. He's an assistant. Yeah, I thought we'd have more ATRs than that. I only have 2. Like, that's like Soviets had, you know, Woody for ATRs. They'd snipe with them and all kinds of shit. I mean, you get your head blown off like to Kingdom Come with you get hit by a 14.5 millimeter round, like poof. That's twice as big as a regular rifle round, like fine red mist. So we got that guy, and we also have this battlefield guy. Well, I don't mind. It's a lot more practical to have him standing up. Let's do the battlefield guy. Let's do the battlefield guy. And then I can use anybody else as an assistant. I don't have to paint another guy. I can use one of the other riflemen. Okay, so he's got the... And he's a harder material. All right, I got those 2 guys. Both of them are battlefield. Put this guy back in. This is why I sorted him the other day. Like, it's relatively easy to be able to do this little thing I'm doing. Probably should paint both of them, to be honest with you. This guy looks like he's, no, that's the same figure. He's got binoculars. He's got a Pepe Shah, but hey, he stole it off of a comrade. Maxim. Well, this one's already built. That's a plus. he's got an early helmet. Yeah, he sits like this and he sits like this. And these guys are tank riders, and I'm going to put them on a little stand. I don't have a use for a bunch of guys just sitting on a tank. These guys can be, this guy can certainly be on a stand and just be in this position. These guys that are sitting down, maybe not so much, but okay. And then you a squad leader. I have a squad leader, but he's the old FAA guy, and I'm not going to fool with him anymore. I got a combat guy here. He's in the paper, not here. These guys are the ones from Foundry, which are okay. Yeah, these guys are all right. These are officers. Here's more ATRs. What's the deal with them? Oh, it's an FAA ATR. I did have more. He's not terrible. Well, we don't need it. We don't need another one. Oh, here's that figure. Looks right off the looks like right off the cover of Cross of Iron, the Avalon Hill game. These are scouts. These guys are all guys with papers. I got a combat guy here. Where's the combat bag? I got a combat guy that I started painting. Here he is. That's enough for now. That's enough for now. Now, give me some good news and tell me that I already have Soviet names printed. That would be pretty cool. Not that one. That's my Vallejo colors. I guess I need to put my glasses on to find them. Let's see. Soviet names printed in the font that I like to use. That I'm using now. Oh, these are extra German names. We got a shitload of these. These just I wrote down a bunch of freaking names down when I was playing Wittmann. I'm not going to use a Wittmann. I wrote it down anyways. Just like I'm not going to use any Dietrichs or whatever. Okay, these are Americans. Okay, here's the Soviets. These guys are Soviets. Okay, these are the old school. Well, I guess these are Brits. And Americans, because there's no way I would have named a Brit Abernathy. Abernathy's totally an American name. You people in Britain are probably arguing with me. I see Abernathy, I'm like, that's not British. That's Americano. Here's some more American names. Kupashev. Okay, so that's a... I guess I'm going to cut this and put these Soviet names. Some guy named Barak. Okay. These are Americans. These are Germans. These are Germans. Germans. More Soviets. Germans. Okay, this is from my Modern Africa stuff. These are Americans. I got quite a few names. That's cool. I'm gonna have to go to more of the Africa stuff. Holy shit, even more Soviets. Okay. And American stuff. Okay, we're good. Oh, we got some mix in here. We got O'Reilly, O'Connell. Oh, yeah. Papadopoulos. I'm going to have an American guy named Papadopoulos. He's got probably has to be somebody that's prone, because this is a long fucking name. Papadopoulos. Put this in there. Put you guys to sleep, didn't I? Did I keep the female sniper? I didn't, did I? I think it was just going to be too powerful with a semi-automatic weapon. And there's some woman names on here. There's some lady, Ivanova. I'm gonna make the other. I got another sniper. It's got like the face covered. Like, I think that one's gonna be female as well. Nikitin. Okay. Cool. All right. So what's the next step? Let's put some magnets on these guys. 1, 2, 3, 4 magnets. 2. Oh, we got leftover Litco stuff. That's good. We got lots of Litco stands. Lots of Litco stands. This is a squad leader. You got any rank on this guy? No, he just has the little tabs. He's got the early war, 1941. The combat miniatures are early war Soviets. Later in the war, they had more complicated markings. They had the little shoulder board things, which look better. They're more, less gulag uniform looking. Hey, you got to make these guys feel good about themselves if you want to win a friggin' war, man. You can't treat them like a bunch of serfs and get them awards and stuff when they do things well, or they're gonna, they're not gonna fight. So yeah, drawing time, you just, I can't work on these guys for several hours, so about 6. So you might as well work on other stuff. So this guy's an interesting guy. I'm not going to be able to put him on a stand. He's just going to be riding free. So I'm going to take Got another penny. I don't know where the hell are my pennies at? Where are my pennies at? Let's do it the easy way. We're gonna take this Soviet tank commander. Sorry about that. And we will slap his happy ass right here. That's how we'll paint him. Okay. So this guy does not need a magnet because that's not his final location, but this one will. Battlefield figure. Yeah, I'm probably just going to go ahead and prime over that. Whatever paint's on there. I paint really thin anyways, so it shouldn't cover anything over. Instead of trying to replace what's there, it's probably easy. Well, I may do that on this guy. His pants seem all right. And these guys have been sitting around decades in this situation. Literally decades. Okay, this is going to need a little magnet. These two are going to need a little magnet. Okay. And this is just a little piece of basswood. I'm going to paint this a little differently. I think I'm going to goop it first and then paint my way up. That way I don't paint stuff and end up like messing it up with a goop. That's a pretty durable little Maxim. Nice. I think that's the Battlefield one. Okay, here's that guy. He's good to go. He's good to go. Let's trim up the edge of these bases. And then we're going to prime this stuff. And then while that's drying, we'll paint this stuff. And we'll prime this bunker. Yeah, a bunker, you could have like a Maxim in here. That's like perfect. You know, and then the Germans have some vehicle like a Stug. I have an early Stug that has no MG. So it can only fire the 75. Now, I don't know if this is a piece of flash or it's part of the sight. I'm going to assume that it's part of the sight and leave it on there. I'll look that up later, okay? next sniper I do will be female. Next Soviet sniper. All these figures, except these combat guys, are all out of print. They don't make them anymore. No longer available. Limited edition only. And these were brand new, just before I, discovered DVA. So they're, 20 years ago. More than 20 years ago. I got them like in 2002, something like that. Did we not pay attention? Are we not paying attention? Surprised somebody said, "Oh man, you're cutting with a blade towards your finger." I don't think I've ever cut myself that way. And I don't know why it hasn't happened. I'm not putting a whole lot of pressure. That's the whole thing. That's when people say that a dull blade is more dangerous than a sharp one, what they're basically saying is you're having to overpower stuff. And when you're overpowering things, then it gets out of control. When it cuts loose, when it breaks loose. I've never cut myself that way. Shouldn't brag until you, well, I just did. I must be doing something right. All right. Do we like the length of the stand, or it needs to be shortened any? But no, I'm okay with that. Got the little handle for it and everything. Okay. So let's grab some. No, we want to use Litco stuff. Litco stuff is so much thicker than the standard. This is just regular magnet sheeting. That's what we use on the vehicles. Well, that'd be expensive. Use Litco heavy duty magnets for all your vehicles. Yeah, that would be a lot. All right, we need this much, so we could probably use a 15, and I'm gonna have to put that one together, a couple pieces. Let's grab 15. Piece of that one, and then this one can go on there as well, and the other leftover part of that. Okay, good. Yeah, I don't know when the hell I'll need these DVA size stands ever again. Not for decades, hopefully. All right. That's not completely flush. So I'm telling you, we're going to do this. We're going to do this right. This is not half-assed. Okay. This guy good? Da. Okay. Cut inside that line just a little bit. Nailed it. Okay. And I'm going to cut inside here a little bit. Well, I don't know how the hell I've stayed online this long, because you guys have been pretty silent. Usually that's like a fail factor. But I guess I'm excited enough about getting these guys done that's kept me on track. That's pretty close. Yeah, I had one of these. I had this one a long time, and then in the last 10 years, probably, I think I I found those at a convention. I ended up picking them up. I couldn't even tell you who made those things. Although I'm probably be surprised if they're still in business. Okay, that one's good. Let's do the same thing with this. Oh, yeah, yeah, fuck it. There's going to be such a tiny little piece left. I'm not going to be able to put that together with anything. Okay, and then we'll do the same thing. We'll splice together this little back end. I probably should have remounted these guys on plastic, but it's not like the. Nah, you know, I'd rather glue the little wood stand up thing on wood than on plastic. The little nameplate. I made a mistake thinking I made a mistake. I'm mistaken. All right, and whatever's cut out of there, we'll just throw that in the trash. There's a. You can only be so frugal. Heavy duty magnets from Litco. And this edge is kind of, it's not completely flush. So, as much as I like Litco, not a, maybe their machine needs recalibrating. I don't know. Luckily, it isn't an issue. Big old muzzle brake on this thing. About 20 years ago, I went to a place in Florida. They had what they called a machine gun shoot. It was this private gun range. Yeah, it was like 20 years. Is my cup here? Yeah, I picked this up at it. Machine gun shoot. Hernando Sportsman Club. February 29th, 2004. Yeah, that's the only thing I picked up. And they had tens of thousands of weapons. They had tens of thousands of weapons easily. And the loudest weapon that they had there, because they actually had a bunch of people, had these big tables where they had all the weapons laid out, and they brought these cars out, 5 or 6 junk cars, like cars from the '70s, like a Dodge Omni and an old Corolla, and things that are basically for the scrapyard. And they brought them out there, and they said, "All right, open fire." And then once they gave the green light to open fire, it was just deafening roar. And then there were some weapons you could hear over the sounds of 300 or 400 weapons going off at the same time, and those are loud. Like if you know that there's like 400 weapons going on, and I'm not exaggerating. There's like 400 weapons fucking going on off at once, within a, I don't know, the line of the tables that the weapons were laying on, that people would they would fire from once they open up, is probably, try not to exaggerate, 400 feet, probably 400 feet worth of tables. There was that many there. I mean, it was spent shell casings like, you could almost swim through them. But there's a couple of weapons that stood out from all of the other ones. Got to use ear protection, obviously, but even with the ear protection, there's some weapons that stood out in loudness more than the other ones. You have 300 weapons going on, and then you're like, what's that loud bastard? And one of them was an anti-tank rifle. It was an anti-tank rifle that was it was a Finnish from Finland, a Finnish 20 millimeter anti-tank rifle. And it had a muzzle brake on it, which the muzzle brake on it made the recoil a lot less for the person firing it, but it made the sound a lot louder for everybody else. That thing was super loud. And another thing that was really loud is they had these guys that had, it was a mixture between, bolt action stuff, full semi-automatic and fully automatic stuff. For them high rollers, those, what do you guys call them in the UK? The Normans. The Normans that can afford those things. I wouldn't want to afford the freaking ammunition expenditure bill. And that's back when ammo wasn't as expensive. They had these, the sawed, I was going to say sawed off AKs. No, they're the tanker version of the AKs. I forget what the hell they're called, but they're the smaller AKs. They're fully automatic, and they have a really short barrel. They're really, really loud. Really, 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 really loud. They were louder than like an MG42s. The guy had an MG42 there. So, yeah, that was pretty cool. Studio WGS, welcome. Hey, did you know about that island off of Burma where the Japanese got eaten by crocodiles? I found out about that yesterday. That's over in your backwoods, man. That's over on your back 40. Who the hell's calling me? That is the last time I do any prescriptions on auto refill. They bug the living shit out of you with phone calls. And now I got this voicemail. It's floating there. I don't like voicemails just floating there. Japanese island Burma crocodile should give me the correct. Ramri Island. Let me tell you about crocs. I'm not scared of crocodiles or alligators. I live in a state that's known for alligators. They're in places where I don't go. Let me tell you about Asian crocs. They like sushi. Those Japanese guys are in trouble. So I looked that up. That's one thing that came up. We had one of the discussions that we talked about yesterday was one of the guys was asking me, that they wondered if there was a lot of Germans that got killed by Russian bears. And that led to one thing and led to something else, led to another thing. Well, that's how you learn stuff, going down the rabbit hole. And I'm going to go ahead and prime these guys while I'm yammering. And that scenario coming up. They actually made a movie of it. They made a movie about it. I didn't know this. It's called. It came out in 2001, and in typical Hollyweird fashion, and Hollyweird covers all Hollywoods. Okay, it covers Bollywood. It covers everything, because not everything is made in Los Angeles, right? But in typical Hollyweird fashion, history wasn't good enough for it. They had to doctor up. They had to change the situation. Tastes like chicken, yes. Tastes like ramen. They changed the scenario. It was a group of, and I haven't seen it, and I'm not going to watch the preview. I'm just going to watch it one of these days. It was a group of, at the end of the war, like supposedly a mixture of Commonwealth guys. I know there's a Sikh. I looked at the cover of it. And there's like a Sikh guy, and there's probably an Australian, and probably a New Zealander, and they probably can't get along, and it's some British guy probably holding everybody together. A Malay guy or two. I'm sure there's probably one Gurkha. One of everything. Not two Gurkhas. Typical thing. Why couldn't you just have done it with Japanese guys? Because nobody would have cared if they'd have died. After they did so much raping and pillaging in Southeast Asia, you're probably thinking, yes, thank goodness that happened to them. They had it coming. Well, those guys may have been all right. I don't know. But yeah, Battle of Ramree Island. So I looked up on the map. Let's see if I can do this. I looked this up on the map, and there was I looked up right where it was, and I zoomed in and on Google Earth with the topography, not with the topography, but the actual photograph. And there was this freaking island. Within this island, I don't know that I would call it an actual island. I wouldn't call Ramree Island an island. It's swampland. But anyhow, there's it's probably like the Everglades. It's all connected, but it's all one big thing. And there was this piece of land that's surrounded on all sides by water. And I'm like, yeah, that's perfect. Here you start off with your Japanese squads, and you got to get across, and you're getting eaten by alligators. Been working on epic Hail Caesar stuff, so you've been busy. That stuff looks really good. I probably wouldn't like the rules, but physically, those things look really good. But the problem with that is you're putting all your eggs in one basket. So let's say it's a good system and you want to build like, I don't know, Pyrrhus or something like that. And, hopefully Warlord doesn't say, it's Warlord, right? They don't say, I don't want to support it anymore, and you're up a creek. Like you've already built 2 armies and you can't get anything else. Because if it's just like Romans and Carthaginians, that's not deep enough for me to get involved in it. But the figures do look really good. I mean, they look really, really good. Let's get this dust off this. I haven't had it this long. I probably got it dusty from somebody else. No doubt I got this from a flea market. Or whatever you guys call it, bringing by. So these are primed. We're going to prime this, and we're going to prime these figures, and then we'll go to paint this. I'm probably going to have to cut off relatively soon, but man, I've gotten some. I'm at least going to prime this stuff, so it's ready to roll next time. Epic Hail Caesar, yeah. I never did count how many figures I have done. Maybe 50, which is plenty for what I have planned. I'm going to pour this out gently. And this stuff brushes on just amazingly well. Let's see. Let's do this guy right here. The sniper. Oh, I didn't check to see if he has any flash that I need to scrape off of him. And generally, I got these relatively soon after they came out. And they're now discontinued. By Battlefield Figures, it's their Stalingrad range. And these are probably the nicest Battlefield figures I have. You got some folks in the store to get set, so we're doing a group build. You guys have any guys that are like, I don't want to play Romans? I encountered a lot of people. I'm relatively new to Ancients. I know I've been doing it for 20 years, but I never did Ancients before 20 years ago. And I've only did it with DBA. But I know a lot of people that are like, I don't do Romans. I'm not building any Romans. You'd think they were like freaking SS or something like that, or, concentration camp guards or something like that. I'm not building Romans. I know several people that are like that. Mitch isn't one of them, but I don't like Carthaginians. I like Hannibal. I think Hannibal's awesome. But I don't like the Carthaginian. I'm not sacrificing my own child just in case and we can win. Like, no, you go talk to somebody else. That's not my thing. So I don't really like the Carthaginians. I do like Hannibal. I think Hannibal was brilliant. Do they only make Second Punic War stuff? Can you do First Punic War stuff? Are there special characters? Can I play Marcellus? I thought Marcellus was cool. I like Marcellus. I mean, he's no Hannibal. Nobody's Hannibal. So the rulebook is done in a computer game style tutorial. Oh, good. Would you find funny? Sacrifice your own children? That's sick. Yeah, I'm not doing that. I guess I'll just never be that kind of a religious zealot. Yeah, I'm not doing that. Hey, let me sacrifice my own child just for good luck for winning the battle. Like, F you. That's how you bring a civilization down. No wonder you guys just hired a bunch of mercenaries. Nobody wants to do that. Yeah, but I see those figures, man. Those this is there. Was it just? I've seen pictures of them. That you have to play in checkerboard formation with the Hastati and the Principe and the Triarii. Hopefully that's the case. That's like what's missing in DBA. There's no way to play in that. I mean, when I played Rome Total War, I play that way. I set up my forces in little groups like that. I don't know that it has a benefit. The only benefit that it has is it looks good to me, and I feel like I'm doing it right when I'm playing the Romans. But I've never seen a rule set where that comes into play. Yeah, they have the characters and they have special abilities. Uh-huh. Got to get those Warhammer players in there somehow playing that stuff. Hey, Nordic's no longer on this channel, so we can't argue about Alexander and Hannibal anymore. I guess Hannibal wins. Hey, everybody I played with, almost to a person, agreed that they thought Hannibal was a better general. I think so. That doesn't mean Alexander the Great was a piece of shit or anything. I'm just saying that you don't have Hannibal, that army falls apart. They don't like each other. He got them to all work together, even with all their differences and different languages and stuff like that. And they weren't very good troops. It wasn't like they had these super elite things. I mean, there were some units that were all right. I mean, but you take some stuff like the Libyan cavalrymen and those um, you don't play the stuff for a couple years and you forget things. I know exactly what I'm talking about. The mercenary cavalry, light cavalry from North Africa that are javelineers. Those guys were good, but I mean, they're like Cossacks. They want to do their own thing, you need somebody to freaking reel them in. Numidians. But they look good. They have the checkerboard rules. Interesting. Hopefully, they continue expanding it in other things. The thing that doesn't really interest me very much when it comes to ancients is barbarians. I just don't really care much about like Celts and stuff like that. I mean, sure, if they're part of the Carthaginian army, that's fine, but I don't want to build like a whole army of Gauls. Like, you know, I mean, how many guys do you need going around going, I mean, it's tens of that, painting tons of figures that are all like semi naked is just not very exciting. Their army just does not have a lot of combined arms. That's what it is. I mean, you got impact infantry, you've got some skirmishers, you got some horses. That's it. You got nothing in between them. Doesn't mean I wouldn't play them. I just wouldn't be excited to build them. So I always say, if you're gonna play something with Romans, man, the Roman Carthaginian thing is the one that's both sides are pretty interesting. Now, if you're not gonna do that, well, probably Romans and Pyrrhus, man. Romans and Pyrrhus. Let's touch up this thing. Only the Romans have the third rank thing happening. Okay. I cracked open the Hannibal set and did an unboxing video if I'm curious. Okay, I'll have to check that out. I'm really bad at watching other people's stuff, and it's only not because I don't like other people's things, because I actually like your channel, man. You're super relaxing to listen to. That's a compliment. And there's another guy that's super relaxing to listen to as well, but he took his comments off. Like, you can't watch his videos. You can't comment on his videos. So he must have gotten into it with several people. I've actually never had that problem. I just block people. Like, you get to make an ass of yourself once, and then and then you're dead to me. But I can't comment on his videos. But there any elephant poo in those videos? I'm here for the elephant poo. I'm gonna cover this guy in the primer. We're just gonna start over. Yeah, I just don't watch much YouTube anymore. I can't listen to it while I'm driving, and if I'm home, I'm doing this. Um, yeah. What do you think about since I know you've done a couple of videos? What do you think about War Games Illustrated versus War Games Soldiers and Strategy? How do you think they compare with each other? I'm a fan of certain issues of War Games Soldiers and Strategy because they seem like they're more like focused on themes. It seems like the War Games Illustrated stuff tries to cover everything, and there's lots of periods that I'm just have no interest in. God, should I cover this? Yeah, I'm just gonna cover them. Feel a little bad doing that, but I didn't spend that much time on this guy. I really like the digital. I really like those magazines in PDF because I don't have to fret about dog earing a magazine. Everybody's gotten a magazine and flipped one page with a little bit too much gusto and ripped it. Now you got a ripped magazine. That's just it's hard to sleep the following night when that happens. Yeah, that's why I said you've been doing a flip through War Games Illustrated. Have you looked at how do you think they compare to each other? I have some. I used to have some War Games Illustrated from a long time ago, and they weren't. They didn't have a lot of full color photography, which I'm sure isn't the case anymore. All right, I'm gonna make a freaking mess. I'm gonna get this shit all over me, unfortunately. But off we go. Have you ever been demonetized for going through a magazine online? And don't get me wrong, I don't want you to be demonetized for it, but like there's this book that I have that's out of print that if you look for it on eBay, it's not eBay, on Amazon. You supposedly it's somebody trying to sell it for about $1,000, and it's an author that's passed away, and he's been dead for years, for decades, and he's I'm sure it's was some cancer related thing because he was maybe 10 years older than me. Like, you shouldn't be dying 10 years older than me. I'm not old enough for that, unless there's something just kind of a fluke. But I looked to try to contact I'd like to. Some of the stuff is really, really interesting. I'd like to read some of the stuff online, but I want to ask permission to the publisher. I think the publisher was just him. I've done some research at the Copyright Office, and the guys that hold the rights to it are his mom and dad, who are, his mom passed away in her 90s many years ago. So I'm like, at what point? I guess I should. I don't know. I don't want to make a video and then get all excited and then have to take it down. I'd rather not make it than have to take it down. So, apart from above, War Games Illustrated gives away free frames. Yeah, they do. If you buy the physical copy, yeah. Do you know in advance what they're going to give away? Like, they're going to do something on maybe some rule system that you're interested in. So you're like, okay, well, I'll go ahead and sign up for it. I want the free frames for it. The free frames would not be beneficial for me. It's just going to send me down a rabbit hole that I don't need to go down. I am very conscious of that. I have to keep myself. I am my own parole officer. I need to keep myself on a extremely short, prickly leash. A leash made of hair shirt material. I cannot get involved in things even more now than before, because I need to get this stuff off the ground. And as cool as the extra freebie things are, and don't get me wrong, I wouldn't mind playing, Epic Hail Caesar, but I don't want to be the guy that has to try to figure out how to play the rules or anything like that. I'd want to ask somebody directly. That's just going to further dilute my attention. God, this thing is shiny. Further dilute my attention from the goals that I need to do, and hopefully, in the next couple days, maybe even today, I'm going to set up a battlefield for this and see what the stuff looks like. I think I'm going to do it over there on that table in this temperature-controlled environment. And who knows if that'll happen today, but we might give it a good shot. If not, certainly in a couple of weeks when there's one less person living with us because they're at college. But I'm not sitting around waiting for that to happen. We're going to go ahead and paint because this needs to be painted anyways. They need some little Soviet guys hanging out in this thing. I mean, it could be German guys hanging in here, but I got a lot more Germans. They need to be on the offense. A lot more Germans painted. I got a lot of Soviet guys to paint. I got a lot of Soviet guys to see. This is where we get into the Messlandia. This is really hard to get off your hands if you're not using hand sanitizer. It is downright unpleasant to get off your hands. Oh, you don't? I thought you did, man. I thought you had more subscribers than me. Well, you get there. You have good content. Hopefully all your customers are subscribed. You better subscribe to my channel or you're getting kicked out of the store. I don't know. You might have there are some ignorant people out there. There's one guy that I know that he said, well, I can't really afford to subscribe to your channel. I'm like, dude, it's a fucking click. You know? That's it. No, I don't like asking people for money. But, YouTube is bothering the living hell out of you guys with commercials anyways. I might as well get some of the revenue and use it to, buy stuff for this channel. I mean, it's something. I mean, it's not anything to even, it's a couple coffees it's a couple coffees a month. That's about it. But it's something. I mean, it'd be better if there was no commercials on YouTube, but that ain't the case. I'll paint the bottom of this, even though this is slippery. I believe this is one of these materials that smells like mothballs. Don't eat this stuff. Okay. How we doing? Oh yeah, we got to cut off. We've been on here. We've been on here a while. But that's a very successful morning. Very successful morning. Your viewers are overseas. Only 5% of your viewers subscribe. Yeah, I know, they're lazy. I do it because it's easier to find your content. So many times I've said, like, man, I saw this on a channel and it's really good, but I don't remember what the channel's name is. Look at the stuff you're subscribed to. And then other folks, these other folks, like, there's 2 or 3 people channels that I subscribed to when I was getting used to doing YouTube, trying to get used to doing YouTube for the first time. And they're channels that constantly put out 1 or 2 videos each day. And it's all about videos on how to get more subscribers or how to do this or how to improve this other thing. It's all they do. I'm like, that's like exhausting. Like, I'm a painter, The rest of this stuff just, it's just par for the course. Let's take a look at how many of these 20 millimeters I got done. I'm going to say 50. See how close I get. And these are all done in what I call modern fashion. Yeah, 1, 2, 3. We've got 10 of these. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 64. 64, we've got another 10 or so Germans. Yeah, just so shy of 100. So it's not that many figures, but it is. It's plenty for what I'm doing now. So we're going to do some weird stuff. We got a Soviet sniper that we're working up, Maxim machine gun team, squad leader, 2 ATRs. That's what we got going in. And look, they're magnetized, so we don't have to worry about, really bad. Well, I mean, if I trip and fall on the ground, it's over, but, we're not expecting that. All right, folks. As always, thanks for stopping by. I had a successful morning. And how long have we been on here? 3 hours? 4 hours? Almost 4 hours. Excellent. Can't see so close. Those look good from can't see so close. Yeah, I'll put pictures of them and put them on Facebook. because the video quality just not so good, and it's a shiny background, so that doesn't work really well. Anyhow, thanks for stopping by, folks. I appreciate it, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Oh, and I did pick this up. I talked about this yesterday when nobody was on here. I finally got around to getting one of these. You know, I don't know if I'm going to use it, but if I'm going to use it at any time, it would be now. I've been wanting one of these for a long time, but it might be one of those things like, oh, that was cute, but I never use it. So, anyhow, we will see you guys on the next one. See you later, folks. Bye-bye.